Here's where people really get stuck, especially when it comes to growth and awakening. Now remember to take what resonates, leave the rest, and always, always use your own discernment before I begin, okay? So we're taught, subtly or sometimes outright, that growth should look like a straight line, right? Heal the wound, learn the lesson, move on, never struggle again. And while that sounds nice, it's also not how being human works, right? Growth is not linear, and life proves that. Real growth is not linear. It is layered. It is cyclical. It's more like a spiral. You can be emotionally healed and still struggle in relationships, okay, in different areas. And you might have it all together in one and not in another, right? That doesn't mean you're broken. It means relationships activate layers you can't access alone. You can be spiritually grounded and still face health issues. Being aligned doesn't make you immune to having a body. Sometimes it just means you're finally listening to it. Just like you can know better and still be human. Awareness doesn't remove your nervous system. It just gives you more choice when something old gets activated. Because growth doesn't mean you never revisit old lessons. It means when they show up again, you meet them with more awareness, more honesty, and more compassion for yourself. And we've been talking a lot lately about this. In this last video I just did, I was talking a little bit about, growth and hypocrisy and different things like that. So this is kind of expanding on some of the things we touched in the other video. So feel free to check that one out if you are so called. And yeah, sometimes you still react, but you catch it faster. You own it sooner. You don't abandon yourself the way you used to, right? That is growth. And the part that really trips people up, especially other people, in relationships, growth might look like setting boundaries where you once overgave, right? Saying no where you once explained yourself to exhaustion. Walking away from things you used to tolerate. And that's when someone says, you didn't do this with so-and-so. You should have said that to your ex. You should have worked that out with your old boss. Why didn't you treat this other person this way? Oh, you stayed silent for that friend. And my honest question for people who think like that is, so did you want me to keep making the same mistakes? I'm confused. Because that's really what you're asking, right? To someone who benefited from the old version of you, your growth looks like hypocrisy. To you, it looks like self-respect. And people usually struggle with your change, per se. They struggle with the loss of access to the version of you that didn't have those boundaries before, if that makes sense, okay? And growth in the body isn't linear either, right? The same thing can show up in your health or, really any area. And at one point you might believe, like I was saying in the last video, that you are just supposed to push through pain, ignore it, override exhaustion, power through, it might be that, you were taught, keep pushing, hustle, whatever it may be. And then life teaches you something quieter but deeper. And that rest isn't weakness. That intuition is information that your body speaks before it breaks. And changing how you relate to your health isn't contradiction. That's wisdom earned through lived experience. You didn't flip-flop, you evolved, right? And as we know, growth doesn't erase your past, it integrates it, right? The same with your shadow. You don't necessarily become someone else. You become more honest about who you are now. Your life, if your life looks messy at times, That doesn't mean you're regressing. It means you're actually doing the work instead of performing. Linear growth is a fantasy. Integrated growth is real. And real growth leaves room for humanity. So if someone is uncomfortable with your growth, ask yourself this quietly. Are they responding to who I am now or who they preferred me to be? You don't owe consistency to your past wounds. You owe honesty to your present self. And a message for you from Spirit. You are not meant to stay the same so others feel safe. You are meant to become truer even when it disrupts expectations. Growth revisits lessons not to punish you, but to show you how far you've come. Honor the version of you that learned and the version of you that now knows. Thank you, Spirit. And an affirmation for you. I allow my growth to be real, to be layered, and to be human. I release the need to stay the same to keep others comfortable. Each lesson I revisit meets me with more wisdom and self-respect. I honor who I was, who I am, and who I am becoming. Sending you light, love, and healing, and I hope this helps.